Hey y'all, it's Jessica from Sloppy Swatches. Today I have a look at the Innocence collection for Spring 2019 by Zoya. These polishes are available right now in their in-store. I'll go ahead and link that link down below. These were sent to me for review. And remember that you can upgrade to that wider rounded brush, which I love so much. Definitely an upgrade from Zoya. I am going to go ahead and show you how they apply with the original Zoya brush today. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into those swatches. So first up is Agnes, and this is a gorgeous nude polish. So this one is described as a warm tone muted blush in a full coverage cream of formula. So almost this entire collection is going to be that gorgeous, wonderful cream formula from Zoya, which I love so much. So here's a look at Agnes at one coat. One coat goes on super smooth, or really creamy and easy to work with. You can see here it's not pooling or running to the edges at all. It is just slightly streaky. That may be because I went in for a thinner coat, which typically I go in for a thicker. I'm going to go ahead and let that dry down and just show you how it built up for me with a quick second coat. So 2 coats it does for sure. Bring this polish completely opaque. I find Zoya, if you are comfortable going in with a thicker coat, typically you can get them opaque in just one careful coat, but you're going to have to allow for a longer dry time with these 2 coats that are on the thinner side. Also work really well as well. So here's a look at that completed mini at just 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. So these do dry down fairly glossy. And then this is my final swatch photo at an angle under that same artificial lighting. So next up is Birch, and honestly this is one of my favorites from this collection. So this one is described as a gentle grayish lavender in a full coverage cream formula. So it is a very soft lavender shade with a little bit of gray in there that kind of brings it more towards being the neutral side. So I'm going to go ahead and show you today how Birch swatched today on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. Again, no complaints at all in terms of formula. One coat does make for a nice amount of coverage. I did need to get a little bit closer to my cuticles and sidewall there, and maybe just a slight amount of streaking. So I'm going to go ahead and go in for that second coat. 2 coats it does bring this polish to complete and a full coverage. Really no issues. Again, this one is going to dry down fairly glossy as well. So here's a look at that completed mani at just 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath my artificial lighting. Beautiful, beautiful, very flattering. I do have very strong red tones in my skin, and this does not bring those out at all. So I'm super stoked about that. So this is my final swatch photo at an angle under that same artificial lighting. So next up is Fern, and I am always about a kind of grungy olive tone. This one also has some added shimmer, which is beautiful. So this one is described as a balanced sage with a beautiful warm pearl accent. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like for today on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first easy coat. Again, really smooth and easy, even though this one does have a good amount of shimmer in there. I didn't have any issues with streaking at all. It is a little bit sheer, but it is definitely going to build up well on itself. So I'm going to go ahead and let that dry down and then show you how it built up for me with that second coat. So 2 coats, again, no issues. It is going to bring this polish completely opaque. The shimmer is kind of delicate on the nail. I think as you add a top coat, it's really going to bring it to the forefront, or even if you wanted to go in with a matte top coat, I think that would make for a really beautiful delicate finish as well. So here is a look at that completed mani at just 2 coats before any sort of top coat underneath artificial lighting. I would wear this type of polish all year round. I think it's appropriate for any time, even work time. Really, really beautiful. And then this is my final swatch photo at an angle underneath artificial lighting. So next up is Airy, and this one I think is going to be a fan favorite. It's just a very beautiful blue. So this one is described as a deep, dusty periwinkle blue in a full coverage cream of formula. So this one is super gorgeous and flattering on the nail. It is a very pigmented sort of blue, but the formula is a little bit more on the sheer side, which definitely helps in terms of a staining for me with this polish. I didn't have any at all, even without a base coat. I did end up going in a little bit thicker for this coat, which is pretty typical for me, and it did almost get completely opaque with just that one thicker coat. I am going to go ahead and go in for a second coat though, just to make sure I get it all the way to my sidewalls and get this color the most gorgeous it can possibly be on my nails. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats. Again, before a glossy top coat underneath that artificial lighting. And then this is my final swatch photo at an angle under that same lighting. Super gorgeous. Another top favorite for me for sure. So next up is Yvette, and this one is described as a softened grape with a pink undertone to balance it out in a full coverage cream formula. This one is bright, punchy, in your face. I do believe that this one is my top pick. I'm really feeling these type of shades right now. It's really bright, but still somehow spring appropriate, like these purples and pinks I think of in the springtime, but because it gives such a good punch of color, it's also going to be awesome all the way through the summer. So one coat, pretty much full coverage. I am going to go ahead and go in for a quick second coat just for continuosity's sake. 2 coats does for sure make complete coverage. I will say that this one does dry down a little bit darker than it appears here, so I think that this is a more color accurate shot of this color. So again, this is 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath that artificial lighting, and then this is my final swatch photo at an angle under that same artificial lighting. So we're going to round out this collection with a Theo today, and Theo I think is going to be a little bit a talking point for sure. So this one is described as a stormy gray with subtle texture, a flash of larger and irregular silver flakies in silver with a dark blue glitter throughout. So here's a look at that first easy coat. This one does have a ton of different size and shapes glitters in there. It also does have a little bit of a sheer base to allow it to build up. This almost strikes me as an indie type of polish where it's kind of more of a custom mix of glitters. Definitely something that you're not going to see every day. I am going to say that this combination is not my favorite. It seems weird to me to be in a spring collection because it almost strikes me as like a sidewalk in the winter kind of shade. That's just how it hit me. It is going to have a little bit of texture in there as well. 2 coats does make for complete coverage. I do recommend going in with 1 coat of your favorite glossy top coat to help smooth out those larger glitters. So this is my final swatch photo at an angle underneath that artificial lighting, and that does wrap up my swatch and review of the Innocence collection for spring 2019. Again, these are available right now on Zoya.com. If you'd like to see more, you can also follow me on Instagram at Sloppy Swatches. So thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.